the ADIDAS ADIZERO ADIOS PRO 2. The first iteration of this shoe's predecessor, was without doubt one of my favourite shoes of last year, my favourite racing shoes of all time actually. So I was really excited to pick up the version 2. It's time to take this shoe for its first run to find out what it's made of. Running man Sam is in running heaven right now. This one here is a New Balance RC Elite 2. If you can hear the chainsaw in the background, please ignore it. He woke me up at 9 o'clock this morning after finishing at 5 o'clock in the morning after a 12-hour night shift. So well happy about that. Oh, look at that. That foam feels good, it feels squidgy, it feels responsive. I'm so excited. Look at that. Guys, if you are new to the channel today and thinking, this guy is an absolute shoe maniac. Yes, I am an absolute shoe maniac. And if you want to see all the latest releases shoes, well, I can't guarantee I'll get every single one, but most of them, please make sure you hit that like. Please make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, all that sort of stuff. I think we'll chuck the new matching orange socks on as well for this. Well, yeah, that's alright. We'll talk about it a bit more in the Shuru's lair. But yeah, first 3 words that come to my mind. Grippy, power hungry. I'll explain that in a bit. Make this one word. Slightly unstable. We will get back in the Shuru's lair and analyse this first run. Woohoo! We did it! We finally made it to 1,000 subscribers. When I say finally, it took 4 months, which I don't think is that long at all, and I couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank you very much for joining me along this journey, from all the shoe reviews and the workouts, the training tips, the live streams with people like Kafuzi and Seth. I've enjoyed it all along the way, and there's plenty more stuff to come. So if you do want to be part of all that, then please hit that like, hit the subscribe, turn on the bell for notifications, all that kind of jazz, and thank you very much. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to call this the ADIOS PRO 2, so I don't have to keep saying that whole alliteration the whole time. You'll probably see that I am an absolute shoe addict. I just can't help myself. I have a huge FOMO. Every time a new shoe comes out, I just can't resist buying it. On with it. Let's talk about this shoe. So, I absolutely loved the first version of this shoe. Absolutely loved it. The Adidas Pro 1 I have in two colours, the pink and the orange. Now I'm not going to make this a comparison video. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like more of a full comparison. Just not necessarily all performance, but mainly just differences and changes, because obviously it's still early days in this. But yeah, let me know if you'd like a full comparison. Excited to get hold of this shoe, but also really apprehensive and worried at the same time. So some of the changes that we've got here, just a little few changes that we're going to talk about in a minute. So first of all, what we're going to do, as always, we're going to get the stats out of the way. Adidas's website, I'll put a little picture up here. I never measure the shoe in my own size, but just know that there's normally an incremental increase in the stack height depending on the sizes. So the sizes on the Adidas or Nike or all those kind of websites are normally in like a US 9 or 10. This is a UK 11. But yeah, as I say, I'm just going to go with the stack height. I'm just going to go with what's on the internet. So we've got 39.5 millimeters of foam in the back here and 29.5 millimeters of foam in the front, which obviously gives us a 10 millimeter heel to toe drop, which is an increase of last year. So this is coming up in about 270 grams in a men's UK size 11, which is, according to the box, a US size 11.5. And the Euro one I'll put here. I took a little picture of the all the shoe sizes. I'm going to try and make a conscious effort now, because we've got worldwide viewers, to put in the US and the UK and the EU if possible. The price of this shoe is £180, which is a slight increase to last year, which was £170. But it's only minor, and it's still one of the cheapest carbon racing shoes out there. Lots of changes to the first version, quite a lot to talk about, lots of positives, lots of maybe negatives as well. We're going to talk about the pros and cons at the end. The upper here, we have a very similar design in terms of like Celermesh, whatever that is. You know, I don't like to talk too much about what a thing is called, because that doesn't tell you anything at all, but this is still Celermesh. So if you had the first version, it's the same sort of material, which is basically a very see-through, very breathable and very sort of pliable material, but it does conform nicely to your foot. It gives you a good fit. And it just feels nice. So it's a breathable upper. Now this is where it gets confusing with the sizing. I would say that it does run true to size in that I'm a size 11 UK, but there is a difference between the US sizing and the UK sizing compared to other shoes. So in the US this is 11.5, but my normal size 11 in a UK, in like Nike for example, is a US 12. So bear that in mind when you're going to buy a shoe. I went for an 11.5 UK in the Addio 6 and the Boston 10, and I'm happy that I did. I went for an 11 UK in the Addio Pro 2, and I'm happy that I did. So basically what I'm saying is I think that perhaps this runs slightly bigger than the Addio 6. Just bear that in mind when you're buying it. I didn't go half a size up like I normally do with my Adidas shoes. It's a roomy fit, fairly wide toe box, a comfortable fit, a nice fit. I was happy with the fit of the shoe. So moving on to the heel, we've got a very sort of pliable area here that you can see how sort of pliable that is, how much that moves about. Not a lot of structure to it at all. A few little designs here to provide a tiny bit of structure, but it is very just sort of pliable. A little bit of a rigidity to the back here, but not anything massive, not like we've got in the Addio 6. In terms of the tongue, we have like a kind of gusseted tongue, but it's not joined all the way. So as you can see with this video here, like it is quite sort of, it's joined both sides, but only in a tiny small area. But it worked all right. It sat on my foot nicely when I put it on. And it didn't sort of move about too much. In terms of the actual padding of the tongue, there's not a lot to it, but it did seem to be the right amount today. It didn't really seem to cause me any issues. This is where I had a little bit of a problem with the shoe, was the lacing. I don't know why, but it just seems that if you pull the laces here, nothing really happens with this bit of the lace here. And even if you try and sort of loosen it and pull it a bit more, this doesn't really move at all. So I found it quite difficult at first to get a good lockdown on this shoe and to play about with the laces. I did have to fiddle about quite a lot, But I managed to get there in the end, so it's not the end of the world. But I never had that with the other ADIO Pro. A little bit of padding around the side here, but again, not as much padding as in the other one. In terms of the lockdown of the upper, I didn't find it was necessarily what I wanted straight away, but after messing about with the laces a little bit, I didn't do a runner's knot, but I did actually utilise the second hole that we've got here just for a standard lacing pattern, just to get that heel to come in a little bit more. Moving on to the midsole. Now this is where a lot of stuff has changed, and not necessarily for the best in my opinion, but again, it's not the end of the world, and I'm definitely not the type of person that's going to write off a shoe after 3 or 4 miles, but obviously it's enough there to make you think what you feel about the shoe, especially if you've run in the previous version. So we've of course got Lightstrike Pro, which is one of my favourite foams. It's super responsive, but as I said, power hungry. So what that means is if you don't put a lot of effort into the shoe, I don't necessarily feel like you get much back from it. Not like you would in the next percent, for example, in my opinion. However, if you put a lot into your stride, I don't necessarily mean like big, like really overstride and that kind of stuff, but if you put power into this, it rewards you for it, I find. The more power you put into it, the more the shoe works for you, in my opinion anyway. So that's what I mean by power hungry. It likes that power. The foam is really responsive, but it's not super soft like you've got in the next percent, but it's not super firm. We've got a lot of changes here, okay? So we've got some layers, okay? We've got a dual layer of Lightstrike Pro, where it splits off here on the outside of the shoe, and you can actually sort of just pull that apart really, where you can see there, and then on the other side, in order to try and reduce a little bit of weight, which didn't really work because for me it's heavier than the first version, but obviously there's a bit of foam cut out here, and you can see the exposed rods, which we'll get to in a minute. This is where I had a little bit of an issue, and I was worried about it, and unfortunately it did translate to be right. Where they've cut this out here, a similar sort of design to the Alpha Fly, I'm not a fan of that, and I didn't enjoy it today. Not I didn't enjoy the shoe, I just didn't enjoy this, and I did, as I said, one of the first 3 words, find it slightly unstable and a little bit worrying. A couple of times my foot did roll inwards and outwards. I feel like it's adjusted and messed about with the massive stability that I had from the other shoe, where it was just a nice wide platform and I felt I could always land nicely and securely. I'm not a fan of this cut out. I'm not a fan of the dual layer. I feel like it just allows you to sort of go over yourself a little bit more than when it's one solid piece. It's still responsive, it's still fast, it's still fun, but it's just something to watch out for. The rods in this, as you can see, these are carbon fibre rods. So basically these act just like they do in the next percent, all those kind of things, to add a little bit of rigidity to the shoe, just so that when you're toeing off you get that spring back, and in this case they're exposed, unlike in the other ones. So you've still got that responsive ride, but it's a little bit more unstable. Now moving on to the outsole, this is again really good for me, I think. Very similar to the first version in that we've got this like sort of sandpaper type rubber that is really grippy. People moaned about the first one, saying they had no grip. Now I can't understand that personally. I've never ever had an issue in the rain with the first version, and as you can see by the video today, it was raining all day when I was running. Had been raining all day the day before, and I had no issues with the grip at all, hence the word grippy. I just found like it gripped really nicely. Obviously we've got sort of, again here in all the sort of high wear areas, and again probably in an effort to save a little bit of weight, they've cut out some lovely little patterns here. Now on the front, this bit here, this is just some continental rubber, which is sort of, I guess, give you that little bit extra grip on the toe off. But yeah, I never found the first version issue. I don't find this version issue. The grip is, for me, brilliant. So the outsole is good, and again in terms of durability, I think it's going to be fine. I never had any durability issues on the first one, so I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good grip for you. Pros and the cons. So the pros, obviously for me, is the responsiveness of the foam. I like the grip. I think the grip's really good. I think it is like a sort of cat tongue. It just grips to everything. And I guess the pro again for me is the upper here. It's quite a good fit, and it is very breathable. Now the cons. The cons for me, there's more cons in this shoe than I wanted there to be, but I still enjoyed it. The cons for me is this cut out area here. I just feel like it makes a shoe much more unstable than the other version. Another con for me is the heel area. I preferred the heel area in the first one. Just got better lockdown from the heel. I felt like I had to really work to try and secure a heel lockdown on here. And again, the lacing. I don't know what I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it, but just when I try and pull the laces in from here, it doesn't really all move about. So I had to play about quite a lot in order to get like a fairly good lockdown from here. And as I said, I had to use these holes, which I never normally have to do with a normal like lacing system that you would get from a shoe. Just to try and get a little bit more pull in here. Other shoes that are in this category, well, we all know, you've got obviously the Nike Vaporfly, the Alphafly, the Asics Metaspeed Sky. Oh, there's so many. We know there's so many racing shoes. So this is obviously a marathon racing shoe. That is what this shoe is intended for. The last thing we're going to talk about before we go is the Running Man Sam first run score. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I didn't dislike it either. I am very worried about this. I was annoyed about the lacing and the lack of support, the lack of sort of lockdown in the heel area. I'm probably going to give this a 6.5 out of 10 today for my first run. I think there's plenty of room for it to grow on me, but what I loved about the first version was the stability and the lockdown from here, and I feel like they've lost that from this. As I say, I'm not giving up, and I will do more runs in it, and it might change and it might grow on me, but obviously this isn't going to change. This is still going to be how it is. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the first run review of the ADIDAS ADIZERO ADIOS PRO 2. What a name. I've got the New Balance RC Elite 2 waiting downstairs for me as well, which I'm going to take for my first run tomorrow and get a review out for that. We've also got the Boston 10 coming as well. Loads of fun and exciting stuff coming. Guys, as always, I've been Running Man Sam. This has been a super duper shoe review, and I'll see you guys in a bit.